car is very reactive. Welcome to my shop. Now, some of you may recognize the cars in here from previous episodes on the season, but I promise you they still run. Now, this is actually the entire four-rotor, and we only featured half of it on the very first episode. If that piece had broken and then taken out other parts, this could have been a very bad situation. And we may get back to that, but that's not why we're here. We're here because of this. My 2002 rotary Corvette Z06. Now, it did begin its life as a stock V8 vehicle, making 405 horsepower as the badge on the side suggests. But what's under the hood is really where the party begins. Here you have a stock, originally stock, two-rotor RX-7 motor in the place of the original V8, the LS6. This is one of the only running rotary Corvettes in the world. Now, it is not the first. Most people don't know this, but Corvette themselves, or GM, actually was the first ones to have a running two-rotor and a four-rotor concept car. And even the mid-engine concept car of a Corvette was, in fact, a rotary engine. So it's surprising. I wasn't the first. I didn't come up with the idea. I just thought it'd be fun to mess with people that they normally take the LS out of this car and put it into the FD chassis. Well, I wanted to turn that on its head. And so I took a stock FD two-rotor engine and put it into the Corvette. And in fact, if you take these pipes off, the intercooler pipes off, you'll see that it is very much a mid-engine vehicle because the entire baby motor sits behind the front wheels. The stock Z06 is about 3,200, 3,100 pounds in weight, and it's front weight bias. So by putting the rotary engine in here, we shaved 200 pounds out of the front of the car, and I was like, well, that might make this a fun track car. The thing that a lot of people will say is this little engine right here does not make torque, and I will tell you right now, that is an absolute lie. This car makes over 550 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM. So typically when you hear a rotary engine making power, that's high RPM, and this car has that too. When it comes to building this car, the goal was to be subtle and have some fun, poking fun at the owner of a typical Corvette, and that's where these exhaust tips came in. They started their lives as the traditional Chevy bow tie, but the heat of the rotary engine ended up melting the compressed shape, and they've got a little chonk to them. They're much fatter than they used to be, and if anything, that really adds charm to what this car is all about. You can tell after I did about a 3-minute burnout that if an exhaust tip, which is this far away from the engine, is gold, that can tell you how much heat that engine is capable of generating. This may be just the tip of the proverbial iceberg in the back of the car, but with hiding all of the wild, weird things in the car, most of the beauty and the art of what Isaiah and I had fabricated is underneath the car. So I want to throw it up on a lift and show you guys just how cool this thing is from the bottom. So from here, I actually don't want to focus on the rotary engine first, because when you get a stock C5 Corvette, you get this Bowflex looking thing. So this huge polymer composite bow, like you could put a string on it and shoot arrows out of it, and that's actually your front springs. We've replaced that with our Fortunato suspension, our coilover, so we have way more adjustability, because in fact, putting the rotary engine in here and reducing that much weight caused the whole car to lift up, and we couldn't adjust it. We were stuck with a car that was sitting almost 2 inches off of the fender. It was horrible. Rotary engines are very loud, and in fact, I'm not the biggest fan of two rotors with just open pipes. That's a surprise to a lot of people. So we have these massive resonators and mufflers to try and quiet it down and make this a true street car. My four-rotor and the other cars in the shop are not street cars. By that definition, you're wearing earplugs, it's not really a street car, but this one is. And so as you go further back, you see some of our specialty to what we've learned with this car. So here's the transmission. The TIC performance transmission is incredible. It's a T56 Magnum or a TR6060 adapted to where the stock T56 was. But we even have our whole Fuel Lab brushless fuel pumps back here, sucking down less than 20 amps to deliver enough fuel for about 1,000 horsepower. I think something that a lot of people don't get to see with projects like this is that you can actually see the color difference from the heat. Now this is stainless steel, this is 304 stainless, and it turns a blue when it gets really hot, and you can see it slowly transition to more of a gold as it goes to the back. So all of this heat that's being generated ultimately has to be expelled out of the car, and a lot of it goes out the exhaust. But the problem with a Corvette, at least to a new beginner like myself of understanding Corvettes and airflow, is there's not really that much air in the front bumper. There's a license plate cover there, and then you just have these little vents. It's actually underneath the bumper that GM was intending most of the radiator to get its ducting. And so we modified that structure, have it going here where the intercooler gets cooled off, the radiator gets cooled off, and then you can see we made these for our last track day. And so the air either goes into the intercooler radiator or over to the oil coolers. What's really wild, as I've matured building cars, I've realized that all of this means nothing unless you have good wheels stuck to the ground. This is 100% of what your vehicle's turning, traction, all goes through is the rubber. And what we actually ended up doing, this is not something I came up with, it's just what we are doing, is we took the rear wheels off of the car and put them in the front. So we have a wider 100 tread wear tire in the front, and then we have the same wheels, actually, oddly enough, on the 4-rotor in the back. And this makes for a very wild track setup. But I can say that all day long, but I really want to show you what this thing looks like on the track. Might as well go do it, right? So we are going on Apple Valley Speedway, and this is predominantly a drift track. So you'll see that all of the road is very, very black with all of the asphalt being torn up and tons of tire shredding being done here. But I'm actually going to drive it with grip, and this is really only the second time this car has experienced being on the track like this, and I'm super excited to try it. This is honestly one of the first times I get to actually enjoy my car without worrying about tuning it. So the one funny thing about this car is that cars are geared for the power that the engine can make. Makes sense. Like, okay, a piston engine makes power at very low RPM relative to rotary engines. So they don't make a rear differential gear ratio high enough for the one guy that's trying to make a rotary engine Corvette. So you'll hear that my gearing is super long. Normally I have my laptop in the passenger seat and I'm doing that whole like check over, but I'm trusting the process right now. I went through like a love-hate relationship with this car, as most people do when they are building a car. You emotionally set it aside, and then you come back to it, go set it aside. And so this car, I've done that 3 times. I've had 3 phases, and this third phase of this car has just been wonderful, absolutely wonderful, because it does so many things so well. I mean, the C5 is honestly an underrated platform. Like, I think people are kind of getting to the point that they understand that it's a pretty good platform, but they really didn't know that. And so if you're into cars, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, not that you really have the choice, is start with a platform that has tons of support. You get like a 350Z for drifting. A C5, honestly, I think is a phenomenal base for a track car. But at the end of the day, I think that you can almost get caught up in building the car too much for a motorsport that you don't do often, instead of just enjoying the car. So like this car is like, yeah, you could keep going hardcore aero and keep doing all this stuff to make it a track car, but then you start robbing the whole reason that it's a fun vehicle to begin with, and you drive it less. Now even this, getting to test my brakes,
Like the brakes are even like above adequate. Like I'm very happy with how this car operates in all the different ways. So it's just been a wonderful experience building this thing, but to have it be more than just a gimmick means the world to me.
Well, no project car is actually ever finished. This is a bittersweet moment for me because this car's working so well. It does all the things I want it to do. And yeah, there's always little more details, the devil's in the details, but those details almost don't matter. I get to enjoy this car, and honestly, I don't know what to do next. This is such a cool moment for me. Of course, I've got other cars, but that spirit of American tuning is, I didn't realize that you could actually reach an end to it. And so, well, this might be the end of this episode. This is certainly a beautiful step in the life of this car, just not so much tuning, more just driving.